Hey, what's going on, everyone? Roseman here, bringing you a different type of video today. I figured I would try doing a how to play One Piece, the trading card game. I'm going to be showing you how to play using the One Piece simulator. There will be a link in the description below for the download to the simulator. I can do a video on installing and helping you guys set up that stuff in the future, but the link will be down there. You guys can download it yourself and build some decks and start playing with the wider community and getting some experience playing the game. But with that being said, we're going to be doing a solo versus self, so I can kind of show you guys some situations in a more controlled environment here. So for player 1, I'm going to be playing my EBO2 Vegapunk build. And then for player 2, we'll be playing our purple-black Monkey D. Luffy build. So with that being said, we're going to hit start. Normally you would choose who goes first and who goes second. Traditionally, this is done by a roll of the dice, you and your opponent agreeing on either a high roll or a low roll, so that whoever, if they say high roll, it's whoever gets higher gets to choose the turn order. In the simulator, when you're doing a solo versus self, it is always player 1 will go first and player 2 goes second. But that's okay for what we're looking at here. This is just some examples and a way to help teach you guys some stuff. So, first thing we do after we declare turn order is we'll look at the first 5 cards of our deck, and you're going to choose whether you keep or you mulligan that hand. A mulligan meaning I didn't like what I saw, so I'm going to put them back in my deck, reshuffle, and then draw 5 new cards. In One Piece, you get 1 free mulligan, and that's it. There is not you get a second mulligan if you lose a life or you take any kind of penalty. There's nothing like that in One Piece. You get 1 mulligan, and you're stuck with what you get on that second hand, no matter if it's better or worse. So, to show an example of that, here on Vegapunk, we'll choose to keep. So, when you choose to keep, the next, what you do after you choose you're keeping your hand is you're going to set your life by adding cards starting with the top of your deck to your life, setting the top of deck to the bottom of your life. In the case of Vegapunk, it's only 2 life, so you'll see 2 cards show up here on this left-hand side. So there are the 2 life for Vegapunk. Now we're going to choose for the Monkey D. Luffy. In the case of the Monkey D. Luffy, we're going to choose to mulligan. So you see that currently the hand sits at Sanji, Zoro, Gamma Knife, Sanji. We're going to mulligan, and you saw that it gave me a fresh hand, plus it went ahead and set the 4 life out as in accordance with the Monkey D. Luffy leader. You'll know how much life your deck uses based off of that number above the word life in the lower right hand corner of your leader card. So Monkey D. Luffy's 4 life, Vegapunk is 2 life. So, to start, player 1, turn 1, they do not get to draw, and they get 1 Dawn is active on turn 1. So, in the case of Vegapunk, that's not a big deal. We're going to simply use his leader ability, which has you rest a Dawn, and then you place up to 1 cost 5 or less card with the egghead type from your hand face up on top of your life or into play. So let's break this down a little bit, starting with the cost 5 or less. If we look at a character card like this Lilith, in the upper left hand corner there is a number in a circle. Traditionally that circle is in the color of that card. In this case, Lilith is yellow, and her cost is 3, as notated by the 3 in the upper left-hand corner. So typically she would cost 3 Dawn to play, but because of our Vegapunk's leader ability, she could be played because she's cost 5 or less. She meets the less. Now, the second qualifier is the egghead type. If you look at the bottom of any card, there will be 3 key pieces of information kind of in the middle. You have the card type. In the case of this Vegapunk card we're hovering over, it is leader. Then there is the card name, Vegapunk. And then below that is the card's typing. Here, the typing for Vegapunk is Egghead and Scientist. So, looking at his ability again, we need a cost 5 or less with the Egghead type. So, if we look at our cards, they are all Eggheads, and they all cost 5 or less. Now, we can't put into play an event, but we could put it to life. In this case, we're going to go ahead and choose to place the Lilith onto our character area. Now, she has come into play, so her on-play ability triggers. Her on-play ability has you look at the top 5 cards of your deck and reveal up to 1 card with type Egghead other than Lilith, and then you put that into your hand. You then put the rest of those cards on the bottom of the deck in your choosing, the order of your choosing. So, with this, we're going to go ahead and choose to take this Atlas, because she is a Egghead type, and she is not Lilith. We're going to take the Atlas. Now I got to organize the bottom of my life here. I kind of want to put the Frankie and the Edison a little higher, because they are a higher counter. But we'll get into counters here in just a minute. Now, we've finished organizing that, so we're going to return those to deck. Now it's important to note, on turn 1, you and your opponents, on their turn 1, cannot attack. By that I mean, you can't choose your leader and choose to swing at your opponent's leader. That's just not a legal move on turn 1 for One Piece. Characters traditionally can't attack on the turn that they were played. There are some exceptions to this rule, most common of which will be characters that include the word rush, which we'll get into later on the purple-black Luffy leader. I'll show you some examples of some rush characters. So, with that all done, we're going to end our turn. There's nothing more we can do. We can't attack. We have no Dawn as a resource to do anything with. So, the Vegapunk is tapped out. So, we choose to end turn. Now, we are player 2, and it is turn 1 for player 2. So player 2 gets to draw a card, and then they get to activate 2 Dawn. So, not much you can do. We could choose to use this Gum Gum Lightning for 2 cost. We could choose to use the 1 cost Trafalgar Law. But that's about it for now. We can't use this 0 cost because this is a counter, and that'll come into play when we talk about the battle phase and battle resolution steps. So, in this case, let's show you what an event looks like, because we've already seen a character. So, this event costs 2 Dawn to use. Then you have to resolve its main effects. So, if you notice, there is some bold text that says Dawn -2. And then there's some non-bolded text after that. You have to do the bold text to be able to get anything beyond that text. So if I choose to play this and I don't Dawn -2, which means return 2 Dawn to my Dawn deck, I do not get a KO one of my opponent's power 6,000 or lower characters. But we're going to go ahead and do it. So we're going to action. We're going to go down 2 Dawn, so they go back to our Dawn deck. Then we get to KO a cost or a power 6,000 or less, which is our opponent, our player 1's Lilith character. Now, the purple-black Luffy has leader ability that on your turn, once per turn, when 2 or more Dawn cards are returned to your Dawn deck from play, you get to set 1 as active and 1 as rested. So, in this case, we're going to do that. Now, we didn't lose anything because of that, thankfully. So if I click on the leader, you'll notice there's no attack option right now because it's technically still turn 1. It is player 2 turn 1. So you got to think of turns as half steps, basically. So we're looking at, the second half of turn 1. So we still can't attack. So we're going to go ahead and hit cancel here, and then we're going to end turn, passing it back to player 1, who is now on their turn 2. So on turn 1 for player 1, they activated 1 Dawn, but now we're beyond that. So normal turn order takes place here, which is to draw a card, and then you activate 2 Dawn. So now our leader is player 1 is at 3 Dawn on board. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this, the Man with the World's Greatest Brain event, which for 1 cost lets us look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and you add 1 card with the type Egghead other than the Man with the World's Greatest Brain to your hand, meaning we just can't pull this same event off of this event. Then, once you've pulled that 1 out of those 5, you place the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to look at those 5, and we're going to take, in this case, I want you guys to see what a stage will do. So we're going to take the stage, and then we'll just return those as is. Now, we'll go ahead and play the stage out for 2 cost, and that's about all we can do right now because we don't have any other Dawn to do anything with, so we can't use leader ability. We have no Dawn to do his ability with. So we'll end our turn. We have no targets, so there is no target for the end of turn ability of the Egghead, but it's a really good thing that you guys see this, so we get to see the full turn order. But we'll choose 0 friendly. We're now back at player 2. Player 2 is going to draw a card, and then draw their 2 Dawn, so they're at 4 Dawn for the turn. Player 2 is going to choose to play this Roronoa Zoro, which has an on-play ability of you may return 1 or more Dawn cards from play to your Dawn deck, and then set up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck to play as active. This is really good for the purple-black Luffy because you can choose to send 2 back, which will trigger not only the Zoro's second half of his ability, but it'll trigger your leader's ability. So we're going to do that now. We're going to choose to return 2 Dawn. We're going to return the 1 optional. Gain 1 is active. Now the leader gains 1 is active, and 1 is rested. So we're back up to 3 active Dawn and 5 Dawn total. In this case, we're going to go ahead and play the Searcher just to kind of get some look at what's going on here. On this one, we'll go ahead and pull this Uso Hachi. In a real world, that may not have been the pull you wanted to get, but we're going to take it just so you guys can see some stuff as we go along here. And then we're going to choose just to leave those as are and send them to the bottom of the deck. Now, our player 2 is going to choose to attach 2 Dawn to their leader. And they're going to swing their leader at the Vegapunk leader, who... Now let's get into some battle resolution steps. There are 3 phases to any battle in the One Piece trading card game. You have the blocker step, the counter step, and the resolution step. During the blocker step, if you have a character on board that has blocker and is active, you can choose to redirect the attack to that blocker. Once you've done that, you would then go to the counter phase. You can choose to save a blocker if you counter up, and if you choose not to, we'll go to the resolution. In this case, we're not going to choose a blocker because we have no blockers. We're looking at 7,000 power to a 5,000 power. So to get out of this attack, we would have to bring our leader above 7,000 because ties will always go to the attacker. So in this case, I'm going to choose no, but that's because Vegapunk's a little unique and he doesn't necessarily need a ton of life. So sometimes this isn't a good move, but with Vegapunk, it's probably going to be okay. But we're just playing around right now. We're going to choose to take the attack by resolving it. Now, because my leader took damage, I have to take 1 life card. Now we're into what's called the trigger phase. If that life card has this little box just above all of the character information, notated by the word trigger, and you pull it from life, you can choose to trigger if you took that as damage. In this case, the trigger simply states if your leader is Vegapunk, you play this card. So we're going to use that trigger. Now, we were talking about blockers a second ago. This Shaka character is a blocker, as noted by the orange box in the middle of the card that says blocker. So, our opponent, player 2, has nothing more to do during this turn. They have no active Dawn to do anything with, and they have no active characters that can attack, because if you notice, these two, the Zoro and the Law, are grayed out. They were played on this turn, so that means they have what we like to call summoning sickness. Kind of just means they can't attack. So we're going to choose the end turn, going back to player 1. So player 1's then going to draw a card. They're going to draw 2 Dawn. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to choose to place a card into the top of our life, and we're going to choose to put this Please Save Me, which if you have actual English printed cards, it's going to be called I Requasar Help. I can't put that in chat to show it to you, but it's a translation issue with the simulator. Unfortunately, nothing we can really change about that. So now we have 4 Dawn to play with, but we can't play this Vegapunk because he's 5. We can't play this Atlas because she's 5. And we can't play this Kid because he's an 8 cost. We could choose to play the Frankie for 4, or we could choose to play this Usopp for 1. But in this case, we're just going to attach all of these Dawn to our Shaka, and we're going to choose to swing that at our opponents. So now we have a 10k out of 5k, and our opponent, if they wanted, could choose to counter out by using, their 2k counters, as noted by the characters with the counter plus 2,000 on the left-hand side of the card. But that would only bring him to 9. He could then use this 0 cost, which you discard a card from hand, and then up to one of your leader or characters gains 3,000 power during this battle. But it's a lot of... You gotta donate a lot to get to that. So we're just going to take that hit. That's okay. You notice this card doesn't have a trigger. So player 2 will call no trigger. And then we get back to player 1's turn. Now we have no Dawn to play with as player 1. So we're going to hit end turn. Now we're at the end of your turn. We haven't quite reached player 2's turn, but we're at the end of player 1's turn. So end of your turn abilities will take effect. In this case, the Egghead stage at the end of your turn, if you're at 3 or less life, you set one of your characters with the type Egghead and cost of 5 or less as active. So we're going to set this Shaka as active. So now, because he's a blocker and he's active, he'll be able to block on this turn. And I'll show you guys that here in just a second. So, as player 2, we're going to draw a card. We're going to draw our Dawn. And our opponent says, okay, cool. Because there's no summoning phase and then a battle phase and then like another summoning or a main phase, as a lot of people would call it, in One Piece, it's all very interchangeable. You really only have the refresh, your main phase, your end of phase. That's really about it for the One Piece phasing. So we're going to go ahead and start by attacking with a 5 at our opponent's leader, and I'm going to say, hey, I don't want to take that right now. I don't have anything I really want to use this event card for, so I'm going to go ahead and block, and because my blocker is a 6,000 power, and I resolve the attack, nothing happens. His attacker gets to stay there, but I get to save my blocker because he's more power. Now my opponent, he's like, oh, that's not good. I should have gotten rid of that. So he can attach 1 to his leader to give the Dawn times 1 effect, which is your characters have +1 cost. Then if we look, player 2 has this Sanji character that has a on play. If you have a cost 6 or greater character in play, you KO up to one of your opponent's cost 5 or lower characters. Well, our opponent's going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to play this out. Because I'm giving +1 cost to my characters with this leader ability, this Sanji is a 6 cost. So now I have a 6 cost in play. Now I can KO a cost 5 or lower character. So we're going to KO the Shaka. Now that Shaka's dealt with. Some people probably should have done that prior, but sometimes you don't think forward that way, and it just happens. So again, we're just playing around here. I wanted to show you guys different abilities. Here, we're going to go ahead and take that extra Dawn, and you notice how there's 2 Dawn attached to this leader now. Each Dawn says your turn plus 1,000. That means during your turn, any Dawn attached to a character or leader, they gain 1,000 power for each Dawn attached. In this case, there are 2 Dawn attached to the leader, and the leader is a 5,000 base power, so when he swings, he's going to be a 7,000 power. So I'll show you that now. You see he's a 7,000 to our Vegapunk's 5,000, and I could choose to counter out here, but you know what? I don't want to invest that much right now. So I'm going to declare no blocker and not going to add any counters, but resolve. But we're going to go ahead and trigger this event card that we put in there. And you know what? Our opponent really didn't seem to like that Shaka blocker, so we're going to go ahead and bring that blocker back out. Now, if my opponent was to try to swing with another character, which I'll show you with this law, even though it's not going to do anything regardless, I can block again because that Shaka's net was reactive. He was active when he played on board again. So, really cool that you can block when a character hits board, even though it was the turn he was summoned. So that's it. That's all that player 2 can do right now because this Sanji has summoning sickness. So we're going to choose to simply end our turn. Now we're back to player 1, who's going to draw a card. They're going to draw their Dawn. And now we're going to do this Vegapunk for 5. This Vegapunk, we're going to look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and you play one cost 5 or lower scientist type character other than Vegapunk. So it can't be, the Vegapunk character. Then you'll place the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order, and if your opponent has 2 characters or less, you'll discard a card. So we're going to choose to play a Lilith here, and then we'll place these guys at the bottom of the deck. We're going to do it like that. But we won't have to worry about discarding a card because our opponent's got 3 characters, so that's alright. So we're choosing to return all those. Now, because Lilith is in play, we get to choose her on playability, which is look at the top 5 cards of your deck and reveal up to 1 card with the Egghead type other than Lilith. And then that goes into my hand. So now I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to take this Nami card. And again, we're going to set our life, or our cards to the bottom of our deck in the order we want. We'll go like that. And now I'm saying, alright, I've still got leader ability, so we're going to go ahead and add a card to the top of our life. We're going to add this Frankie, whose trigger ability is to draw 1 card. Then if you have 1 or less, you play this card. So, next, we're going to go, okay, we're going to take this Shaka, we're going to add that Dawn to it, and we're going to swing 7 at our opponent's Roronoa Zoro. Our opponent's going to say, man, I need that card. I need to have that body on board right now, but I don't have a blocker, so I can't block. Instead, I'm just going to say, cool, here's a 2k encounter, so it's now temporarily a 7k, and here's another 1k, so now it's 8k. You'll notice that temporary plus 3,000 is going to go away after this battle, so he's back to a 5. Again, this leader just can't attack, that's just his ability. So, at the end of our turn, we're going to set this Shaka as active. And now we're back to player 2. Player 2 is going to draw their card, They're going to draw 2 Dawn. They're now at 9 Dawn. So, player 2 says, cool, I'm going to play out this Luffy. And the reason we're going to play out this Luffy is he gains Rush when you do his the first half of his ability. We're going to choose to deploy it. We have to return 1 or more Dawn from play to the Dawn deck. Then he'll draw a card and gain Rush. Well, because we haven't used our leader ability, we're always going to choose to take that 2 down, returning the 1 optional to gain the 1 active and the 1 rested off of the leader ability. And we drew off the Monkey D. Luffy character into this Brook character. So that's really nice. Now, you'll notice that the Monkey D. Luffy character isn't grayed out. He has Rush. He can attack this turn. So our opponent's very simply going to say, you know what? Cool, no worries. I'm going to swing a 6 at life, and I'm going to say, hey, I don't want to take that right now. I'm going to block with a 6, but I don't want to lose this character. So I'm going to go ahead and give you 1 extra 1,000 in counter to save this character. Now my opponent's going to go, cool, I'm going to swing for a 5. I'm going to say, okay, that's all right. Let's declare no blocker, and then I'm going to trigger this Frankie. So he plays out, and he draws me a card. Now my opponent's going to go, okay, let's swing for a big, fat 10,000. I mean, that's a lot of damage. I could try to counter out. You know, I could give him a 2K and a 2K, and then a 1 and a 1, and I would counter out of it. But that would cost me 4 cards. It's a lot of investment. So instead, I'm going to give him this 0 power Vegapunk blocker, and then I'm just going to let him have the blocker. And then my opponent's going to say, cool, you know what? We're going to swing another 6 into the leader, and I'm going to say, man, I don't want to take my last life, and I don't have a blocker, so I'm going to go ahead and give you another 2K and counter. And then our opponent's tapped out. There's nothing he can do. You know, a 2K swing at the 5K leader is not going to do anything. So he's just going to end his turn and send it back to player 1. Player 1's going to draw their card. They're going to draw their Dawn. Now here we have 9 Dawn to play with. So what we could do is we can play this kid and use his on play. We can search here and maybe pull something else. We could play the Vegapunk and set up our board a little bit. But I think what we'll do here is we'll play the kid, and his on-play ability is you may rest this character. You trash 1 card from the top of your opponent's life, or up to 1. You don't have to. But we're going to go ahead and use his action to rest him, and then trash our opponent's life. Our opponent, they don't get to trigger this if it's trashed from their life. So that's one of the unique reasons why you want to do things like that sometimes, is in case they're going to hit a trigger. Now we're looking at, okay, we've got 1 Dawn. We could do our leader ability, you know, to put something into life, or we could use it to put something into play. And I think in this case, we're going to choose to actually use it to deploy the Nami. The Nami on plays, you may trash 1 card with a trigger from your hand and KO an opponent character with a cost of 5 or less. Then if your hand has 3 or less, you draw 1 card. So we can't KO the Sanji because he's a 6 because of this cost +1. But we're going to KO the Zoro, so that gets rid of a character. That's really nice. Plus we draw a card. Now I have no more Dawn to work with. But we do have some swings we can do here with some characters. So we're going to go ahead and do 6,000 at their leader. And they're going to say, you know what? I'm going to give you a 2K to get out of that. And then I'm going to give a 5K at their leader. And they're going to say, that's all right. We're going to give you this 0 drop event. Now, the way these work are they don't cost any Dawn to use, but you have to follow their text to get their ability. In this case, you may discard 1 card from your hand, and then up to one of your leader or characters gains plus 3,000 power during this battle. So they're going to choose to do that, and they're going to give us this Brook. They go up to 8K for that battle. They don't have to take the damage. Now I'm going to swing this 5, and they say, you know, I'm down to 2 cards. I really don't want to give up any more cards, so we're just going to take that hit. And you know what? We get the Brook back, so not a bad thing. No trigger on that one. Now, as player 1, I have nothing else I can do this turn, so I'm going to go ahead and end my turn. But now I have 2 end of your turn effects that need to happen, and you can choose the order in which they happen. In this particular case, we're going to go ahead and choose the Egghead first to restand the Shaka. Then the Captain Kids will automatically trigger, causing us to draw a card and discard 1 card. For this, we will discard the Shaka. And so now we're back to player 2. Player 2 is going to draw their card, and they're going to draw their Dawn. So now they're at 10. They're at the max Dawn that you can be on any turn. You can never have more than 10 Dawn on your field. But our player 2 here has a lot of stuff on board, a lot of scary characters. But they're saying our opponent's got a pretty big board too. Maybe I need to establish a blocker just in case. So they're going to go ahead and play out this Frankie of theirs. On play, you Dawn -2, discard 1 card, and then you draw 2 cards. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to use the action to Dawn -2, and we'll trash the Brook. We draw into 2. Now we're going to get the leader ability. So we have 7 active. Nothing really more we can do. I mean, we could. We're going to play this Uso Hachi on play. If you have 8 or more Dawn, you rest an opponent's character with a cost of 5 or less. So that way we can we can rest that blocker. Now our opponent, player 1 here, they can't block on this turn. So when I do like this 10k at their 9, man, they can't just block out of it. Well, I can't block, but I'll give them the 2k to save that character. And then our opponent says, okay, cool. Well, we're going to go ahead and do, a 6,000 or a 7,000 at your 6,000. And I'm just going to say, okay, that's fine. You can get that blocker off board. And then our opponent's going to attach 1 to their leader. Actually, they're going to attach all 3 to their leader and go ahead and swing into the Vegapunk because, well, I can't block. So I can't counter out of it. We're going to choose the trigger, and we're not going to trigger this because we already have a stage on field. So it really doesn't do us any good to put another one out. So we're just going to choose no trigger. And now we really can't do anything else as player 2. So we're going to hit end turn here, and now Vegapunk's going to draw a card and draw a Dawn. And man, it's looking pretty rough to be a Vegapunk right now. So he's going to go ahead and he's going to take a big 9 swing at player 2. And player 2 is going to say, you know what? That's fine. We're just going to take that one right now. And this could be a trigger, but if you notice, we don't have anything in our Dawn deck. So setting it as active would just cause us to waste this card. So we're going to say no trigger and hold on to that in hand. Now, as the Vegapunk, we're going, man, this is getting kind of dicey, not looking great. So we're going to take and we're going to swing a 6 at our opponent's 6k, and our opponent's just going to say, you know what, that's all right. We got enough on board. That's not a bad idea, but maybe it's better to hold on to that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to redirect it to a blocker and resolve that attack. Now we lose the blocker, but he gets to keep that 6k. And Vegapunk's getting a little worried, and he says, all right, I'm going to play out this Vegapunk, and then this Vegapunk gets to play out this Lilith, but then I only have 5 character slots, and I have no open slots, so I have to replace something. So we're going to replace that Nami we just swung with. We're going to go ahead and leave those as are. And now, oh man, we're looking a lot better. We're going to take this Shaka, and we'll return those to the deck. And now we still haven't used the leader ability yet, so we could do that. We're going to attach 1 to the Frankie, and we're gonna say, let's swing in to the leader for 6. And he said, I can't take that damage. I don't have a blocker. I'm gonna give him that 2K. And then I'm going, all right. So we're gonna take 2, and we're gonna swing for 7. And again, our player 2, he's like, I don't have any blockers, but I'll use this 0 cost, and I'll get rid of this event, and I'll go up to 8K. Now Vegapunk's going, I can't swing anything. I'm tapped out, but we'll go ahead and deploy. We're actually going to add to Top of Life, and we're going to add that Shaka into our life. So the reason that a Vegapunk might do this is because he can take a hit, trigger this, and still be able to block on the turn it hits board. So really, really nice. So he's going to end his turn, and we're going to end of turn, choose the Egghead to activate first. We'll go ahead and re-stand the Lilith. Why not? And then we get the draw 1, trash 1 from the Eustace Captain Kidd. And in this case, let's go ahead and just trash this Egghead card. So now we're back to player 2's turn, and player 2's going to draw a card. They have no Dawn to set as active or to draw because they are at a full 10. And they're going to say, all right, we got this turn. This will be easy, guys. Ready? So they're going to take it, and they're going to swing a 10 at our leader. And I'm going to say, man, I cannot get out of that, but that's okay. We're going to block out. So the blocker, we lose the blocker there. Our opponent's like, man, okay, didn't see him doing that, but that's okay. We're gonna swing this 6 at them, and I'm gonna go, man. I could play the blocker right now, but I'm looking at their board state, and he's got all this Dawn open still, and he's got 2 more characters he could attack with if he added Dawn to him. So I'm gonna choose to do no blocker, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna trigger this or use this counter from this Usopp to save this card. Now our opponent's going, okay, no worries. We've got this rusher in hand. We're going to drop 9 and then send back 2, gaining 1 active and 1 rested off of the leader ability. So now, we got another 10K on board. Our opponent's going to say, cool. We're going to swing for 5 or 10 into 5, and I'm going to go, I can't counter that. I have no blockers, so we're going to resolve it. We're going to trigger the Shaka. The Shaka comes on board. Our opponent's going, cool. How do we do this? I could do 2 5s. I could do, a 7. Opponent says, okay, I'm going to play it safe. I want 2 attacks. So I'm going to attach 2 to the Usohachi and swing 5. Well, I'm going to say, no worries. We're going to get a free block out of that. And the opponent's going to say, cool. We're going to swing another 5. And I'm going to say, okay, I don't have a blocker, but I'll give you the 1K in the form of a Nami to save the turn. Now our opponent's tapped out. He can't swing a 2. I mean, he can swing the 2, but it doesn't do him any good. There's no targets for it. So he's going to say, all right, it's your turn. Good luck. Passes it off to the Vegapunk. The Vegapunk's going to say, okay, let's draw our card. What do we get? He gets an I requires our help. So go ahead and put that to the top of his life. And now he's just got to hope and pray. He's got 9 Dawn to work with. And he needs to connect on 1 hit. He goes, all right. We're going to start with a 9K on our opponent's 5K leader. And our opponent's going to say, I don't have a blocker. And I'm going to try to give you 2 2Ks. But it's a tie. And the Vegapunk's going to win that one. So hopefully that wasn't too much information for you guys. I think the most confusing part for players to pick up on at the beginning tends to be the beginning of the game, which we'll go back through here in just a second and go through one more time. It's mostly just about that Dawn standing one as the starting player and then 2 as player 2. So again, we'll show you that just in a quick little rematch. So again, we've determined the turn order, and both leaders are just going to choose to keep their hands. And as player 1 on turn 1, you only get 1 Dawn. And then as player 2 on turn 1, you get to draw and you get to activate 2 Dawn. And then when it's player 1's turn again, that's when they get to draw and they get to activate 2 more Dawn. So from then forward, it's always normal turn order, which is to draw 1 card, activate 2 Dawn from your Dawn deck, then you can do your turn. In this particular case, the advantage of going first versus going second is simply as player 1, you get to attack before player 2 does. You get that little bit of benefit there. So that's kind of why you don't get a draw and you get less Dawn. It's because you get to go into the aggression first. So really, that's about it for the basics of this game. I'm going to follow this video up with a tips and tricks video for some beginners, kind of teaching you a little bit more in depth on some of the basics, countering out of attacks and when it's beneficial to and not to attack, or not to counter attacks, things like that. So again, thank you guys for watching. If there's questions, please leave them down in the comments below. If there's something in particular you guys would like to see, please let me know also in the comments down below. And with that, thank you all for watching. And remember, good luck and have fun. Thanks, everyone. See ya.